Hello, Orbis here, and in this video I'm going to be ranking the Strokes albums from worst to best. This is just a video I felt like doing. It should be pretty easy to do because I'm very familiar with the Strokes albums and I feel like I feel fairly confident in my opinions of all of them. I was going to make the video I've been putting off for a long time, which is the Sometime in New York City track ranking. But I keep putting it off because it's very difficult. So that may or may not happen soon. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so Strokes albums. Do I like all of them? Probably not. I think I have definite favourites. I would say this was a pretty easy ranking to do. So I'm just gonna start. So at the bottom, and this may be a little bit controversial, I've gone with First Impressions of Earth, which I know is an album that a lot of people love, but I really just can't get into it. Every time I listen to it, I mean, it's way too long, first of all, very bloated, and also it's the first time the Strokes had a change in style, which would kind of happen with every album after that. But Room on Fire, the second album, is pretty similar to Is This It? It's kind of garage rock, indie rock sound, and then First Impressions of Earth is trying to go for a more, I don't know, it's less garagey. It's more of a standard rock album. I guess it's a bit heavier, and it doesn't really work for me. Most of the songs I do not like. Let me have a look at the track list. So it opens with, one problem with the album is it kind of opens with its best songs. You Only Live Once, Juicebox, and Heart in a Cage are good songs, but then after that it just falls off, and the rest of the album's not very good, or at least I don't personally like it. Eyes of the World I quite like, and Ask Me Anything's okay. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this album. So let's move on. Next up is Come Down Machine, which is probably the more common one to put at the bottom. And I probably used to think it was the worst one, but I've come around to it. It's weird. I feel like almost from an objective standpoint, you could call it their worst album, but I do enjoy it somewhat. A lot about it just doesn't really work, but I enjoy it anyway. I guess an example would be Tap Out or One Way Trigger. Those are both songs I like, but if I pick them apart, there's definitely things about those songs that doesn't really work. But I like them anyway. Welcome to Japan is actually a good song. Call It Fate, Call It Calm is a good song, and I like Happy Ending as well. But there are some songs I really don't like. All the Time I don't like at all. Chances is terrible. Some of these songs I don't really remember. AT's Come Down Machine I don't really like. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but I seem to get more from it than First Impressions of Earth. It's not boring, I guess. So next up I've gone with Angles, which came out after First Impressions of Earth, and it is an improvement. It's not quite as good as their initial two albums, but it's got some strong highlights. Under Cover of Darkness, Machu Picchu, Taken for a Fool, Gratisfaction's pretty good, and Call Me Back and Life is Simple in the Moonlight are decent tracks, and then the rest is meh, not that good. So it's not necessarily an album I go to that much, but I think the highlights are stronger than Come Down Machine and First Impressions of Earth. So next up I've gone with The New Abnormal, and I love this album because I was there for the hype of that album. It had been 7 years since the last Strokes album, so it was pretty hyped to get them back. And I really followed along with, before even any of the singles came out, I remember they were playing some of the songs live, and I was listening to the live versions obsessively before the actual songs even came out. That when the actual version came out, I would be initially disappointed because it would be different. I think Ode to the Mets is an example. But yeah, I loved this album when it came out, and I still love it now, The New Abnormal. I mean, I loved it when it came out, and it's actually managed to grow on me even more so. I think it's kind of cemented itself in the Strokes catalogue. I'm very surprised that The Adults Are Talking is as popular as it is. I think now it's their third most streamed song on Spotify, which is crazy. But yeah, The Adults Are Talking is a great song. Selfless, At the Door, really good song. Why Are Sundays So Depressing? Ode to the Mets, not the same anymore. I like Brooklyn Bridge, the chorus. I remember I didn't like that originally when it first came out, but I like it now. Bad Decisions is actually one of the weaker songs for me, but it's decent. I think Eternal Summer is the only actual weak link in the album. But all in all, I think the album's probably at least an 8 out of 10, maybe even 9. So I think it's great. A great return to form. So we're at the top 2. And at number 2, I've put Room on Fire. I think there have been times where I thought Room on Fire is the best one. It is amazing. I think they're both basically the same level as quality, so it sort of depends how I'm feeling. I don't really think there's anything wrong with Room on Fire. I think it's basically a perfect album. The first few tracks are the best. Whatever Happened, it opens with Whatever Happened, which I love. Reptilia, which is iconic. Automatic Stop, amazing song. 1251, great. And then Under Control is another one of my favourites. But yeah, there's no weak link on this on Room on Fire. I love every song. But yes, number 1 I've given to Is This It, which is obviously the most generic answer, but it's a pretty iconic album, one of the best rock albums of the 2000s. Last Night, Someday, Is This It, The Modern Age, Hard to Explain, New York City Cops, Soma, Barely Legal. I mean, I might as well name the whole track list, because I love every song on here, and this is the Strokes album I go back to the least, so that's kind of how I decided. So there you go, that was my ranking of every Strokes album from worst to best. Let me know what you thought of my ranking, and let me know what your ranking would be, and hopefully I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.